He just openly admitted it. He basically came right out and said what he really thinks, that you're getting too much from Social Security, that your Social Security check is just way too high, and that it's basically welfare because you're getting too much. We're going to listen to him, and this will give you a sense of what we're up against if we want to protect Social Security going forward. Everyone knows, especially longtime viewers of this channel, that Social Security is in trouble. Lawmakers haven't seriously fixed it in about 40 years. They just keep punting the problem into the future, waiting until the checks are about to be cut so they can finally act. And that action could be anything from stabilizing the program to slashing benefits or turning it over to Wall Street. So here's where things stand now. The latest Social Security Trustees report says this: for 76 more checks, you'll receive 100%. Then on the 77th check, there'd be an across-the-board 22% cut. That would hit everyone. For 4 decades, Congress has held hearings asking what to do, what to do, what to do, and for 4 decades, they've largely done nothing. That's both Democrats and Republicans. Some have put forward ideas. The last administration had a proposal to apply Social Security tax fully on income above $400,000, treating high earners like everyone else. It went nowhere. The current administration has basically no concrete plan beyond waiting to see what happens. And if you've seen any actual bill or detailed proposal from them to fix Social Security, please tell me, because I haven't. It feels like the strategy is just do nothing. There are more important things out there, like the reflecting pool or something. So we're going to listen to a recent Senate hearing and hear directly how your elected officials talk about your Social Security benefits and all of it. They are either borrowing or taking out the general fund to make up the difference between benefits and receipts. Correct. On an annual basis. Yes. So again, what's unfair about first of all, he was saying, Social Security has to borrow out of the general fund in order to make up what's going out. So this is a fact, partly a fact of what he's saying, that every year people pay into FICA taxes. They pay into every check they make, they pay Social Security FICA taxes, and X amount comes in every year. But unfortunately, more goes out. And let me throw you up, because he doesn't seem to have kind of the numbers. He doesn't understand what he does, but anyway. So total income coming in for last year. This is the newest numbers for last year. 1.2 trillion came in through FICA taxes. Through interest, because we loan the money to the federal government so they can use it to invade countries or whatever they were going to do with it. Ballrooms or whatever. And so we get $61 billion in interest on that, and also taxation of benefits. President keeps saying that there are no taxes on Social Security benefits, but there's the numbers right there. There is taxes on Social Security benefits most people don't pay because they're such low income. But unfortunately, the total cost in 2025, how much went out, was 1.4 trillion. So there's a couple $100 billion debt of less. You get X amount coming in, you've got more going out. Where's that money going to come from? It's going to come from the trust fund. So they took $200 billion out of the trust fund. So that's money that Social Security has. So how much is left in the trust fund? $2.3 trillion. So that's Social Security savings account. That's money y'all put in for the last many, many decades. And he's saying, we're borrowing that money. That's 100% correct. That's our money. The Social Security Administration money y'all put in there, that's our money, and we're just taking it back. We're not borrowing it. So that's incorrect what he just said. Okay, now let's get to the really scary stuff. It violates the basis, the basic foundation of Social Security, which is he's saying lifting the cap. So that is the FICA cap right now. If you make under $184,500, then you pay Social Security tax on every dollar you make. If once you start making over $184,500, you stop paying taxes, FICA Social Security taxes. And he's saying raising the cap is completely unfair. It's unfair for a millionaire to pay the same amount as someone that makes $50,000 according to his argument. Yep, you pay in and you get out what you pay in. But so if you want to turn to total welfare system, that's a different conversation. Already it's quite the welfare system. So it's already the welfare system because so you're saying what you pay in, you get back out, right? I'll submit for the record table 1, the money's worth ratios for hypothetical workers with various earnings levels. I'll just talk about the middle 3, a low income, medium income, and high income. The people who benefit best are one-earner couples. They get the most out of Social Security. So if you're a low income, again, this is a very detailed table. Not really, but the people who make out the best is somebody born in 1973, single income couple. They get $3.33 out for every buck they put in. So he's saying it's a terrible system. If you're low income, you put a buck in, you get over $3 back from your Social Security. Low income, he understands that this is a progressive system, that it's been like that since 1935, that low-income people get more as a replacement rate is what it's called from Social Security. I'll show the charts here to make it really easy to understand, but that's the way it's been since 1935. And he has a problem with low-income, middle-income people getting more out of Social Security than they put in there. But he's saying, okay, we need to take all that money and give it to Wall Street so they can make it even more. So people will get more than what they paid into it. But he has a problem with people getting more than they paid into it. I'm not understanding if someone can explain that logic to me. So if he got his way 10, 20, 30 years ago and they privatized Social Security and people got instead of $1 or instead of $3 they paid into they got $10, he's going to say, wow, people are getting way more. So let's take that money and, invade a country or build a ballroom or something like that. The logic just doesn't make sense here. Okay, if you're a single man, high-wage earner born in 1943, you're going to get 63 cents out. So it's all over the map. Social Security originally, it's a replacement for lost wages since day one. It is a social safety net. So if you're a high-wage earner, high income, then yes, you get less as a replacement rate. That's the way it's been since 1935, and now he's having an issue. Well, people like this have a problem with Social Security. They don't want Social Security to be there at all. So, but it's very imprecise in terms of, what you put in versus what you get out. Not imprecise at all. I'll show you the exact calculations. I did the calculations about 1 million times when I worked at the Social Security Administration. It's not imprecise. And now what the Democrats want to do is they just want to alleviate that do great harm to our economy because, again, small businesses that, okay, it's always a small business. Okay, small business owners, y'all can immediately please don't throw anything at your TV when he says that he is a business genius, when he says the following, this is H, let's listen to this is kind, this is, it would be funny if it wasn't. So, yeah, it gets taxed at the individual level. Mr. Bezos is a CC Corp, and I'd love to talk to you about taxing all business income at the ownership level, turn everybody passes, then you don't have that problem. But again, you've got to recognize how grossly mismanaged Social Security was. I did a chart, this is our spreadsheet years ago. Had we taken those surpluses, actually invested them into, let's say, an stock index fund, which I know we didn't have back then, but something equivalent back then, we would have had something like $8 trillion with run-up in the stock markets. Probably about $15 trillion of hard assets. And then if that would have happened, he would be in here today and said, oh my gosh, these people are receiving $3 for every dollar they paid in. That's way too much. So we need to take that out, right? According to his previous logic there, we'd be talking about increasing benefits, but we didn't do that. So now the solution for fixing Social Security is lift the cap and just tax the wealthy. Yes. Who are, by the way, based on the deal that Social Security was supposed to be $1 put in, you're going to get that plus compound interest. They're not getting it. They're getting 63 cents as low as, so Mr. Obis, just comment on one of the points I made there. Well, Senator, I certainly agree that we have reached a point where the significant majority of beneficiaries are receiving far more than they contributed into the program over their WOW. That sounds awesome, right? So they just admitted a vast majority of people are getting more out of Social Security than they paid into it. I know that for a fact. I've taken 1 million retirement claims, and it says right in there, This person paid X amount into Social Security their entire life, and here's how much they're going to get back over their years if they live. Obviously, if they pass away the next month, that's a whole different situation. But on the average case, they get a lot more back from Social Security. Sounds like a pretty successful system to me, lifetime. And that's pretty much the case right now, that yes, that is the case. And that's, in part why we are at a point where the program is mismatched between the revenues that are paid in and the benefits that are being taken out. And so we need to find ways on both sides of the ledger to make those lines grow closer together. And to translate that in English, both lines of the ledger, it benefit cuts and revenue. So he is arguing that we need to increase revenue somehow, which most of our community here agree they need to smash the cap. So everybody pays in the same percentage as the majority of Americans. So the 6.2%, we pay in 6.2%. If you're making over $184,000, if you're making $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $100 million a month, you should pay, just like we do, 6.2%. And then obviously the employer pays 6.2%. If you're self-employed, you pay the other 6.2%. But and here's the crazy logic that he comes with. I don't think he understands business, or he's just not being truthful. So again, my point is, let's honestly look at what Social Security was, how it was set up, how grossly mismanaged it was, how economically destructive it will be to increase. 12% increase in taxes on a small business person. And you may say it's wealthy, but you're making $250,000 as a small business. You make $500,000. You're putting that additional $250,000 into plant equipment to grow the business, to create jobs. Again, unfortunately, a lot of our Democrat colleagues don't understand how the private sector works and what wealthy people do with their money. They invest it. Okay, so that's the crazy person. All the small business people out there, or the business people that took any management business course in college or high school or whatever, immediately cringed at that. So, oh my gosh, people making over $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, $10 million paying, 6.2, 12.4%. That's essentially what everybody pays. Welcome to the party. If you say, well, I'll only pay 6.2% my employer. Well, when your employer hires you, they figure in already that, okay, I also have to pay unemployment for this person. I also have to pay health insurance for this person. I also have to pay, insurance for this person. And I have to pay that 6.2% Social Security and the 1.45%. So they've already figured that into your pay, and they say, okay, what's left over? We'll pay you, $10 an hour based on all of that other kind of stuff. So that's already figured in there. So for all intents and purposes, you're already paying the 6.2%, 2% time 2. So people that want to smash the cap are just saying, why do most of Americans have to do it? But if you're wealthy, you don't have to. And the whole idea, they always bring in small business. Well, if you do that, small business won't invest. I've had small businesses before, and if you invest, you take that off. If you make $1 million and you invest $300,000 in plant and equipment or something like that, that's an expense, and you take that $300,000 off, and you only have to pay taxes and Social Security taxes if we smash the cap on that $700,000. So, am I wrong there that if you actually invest it, then that's an expense, and you don't have to pay taxes on that because it's an expense? So it makes no sense whatsoever.